ورحمة الله وبركاته. We welcome you, our dear students of Banias Club for Culture and Sport. And this is your first lesson for grade 8 general. Our lesson today, we will start with the materials of the third trimester. Our lesson today it will be about the title, the new title, and the new unit will be about exploring the seas. And the first lesson will be about the Titanic. We start with lesson objectives. As you see here, the first lesson objective will be students will be able to describe some parts of the Titanic trip. Objective number 2, to use the past simple tense in good examples. Let's start with the story of the Titanic. The story of the Titanic is, as you see here from the picture, it was a kind of disaster that happened at the beginning of the previous century. Exactly in 1912, it was the ship launched from Southampton, which is a port in the south of England, to New York. The first question that will be asked here: are you a traveler or do you prefer to stay near home? Of course, some people like traveling. The majority of people like traveling and like visiting different countries in the world, either by ship or by airplane or maybe by car. How would you feel about going on a long journey by sea? Some people feel excited because they like watching the surface of the water or the surface of the ocean, and some people feel it is exhausting and it is boring from the length of the trip or the length of the journey. At the beginning of the story, we will have some different paragraphs to put in order. Here, the story is given in different parts and they are scrambled. They need to be put in order. As you see here, story is made up of 6 paragraphs from A to F. We have different kinds of information and we are going to order them or put them in order. Paragraph A, however, by the following morning, it was clear that more than 1,500 people had died and that only about 700 passengers had survived. So, do you think this is the first paragraph, the second, the third? We will check together. Where does this large number of people occur to die? In the beginning of the story, in the end, or in the middle? B, it was making good progress across the Atlantic when, on the night of Sunday, 14th of April, 5 days after setting out, so there must be something happened before that, it hit an iceberg, which is a large piece of ice floating in the middle of the ocean. A telegram was sent saying that the ship needed help. Paragraph C, on Tuesday, April 16th, the headlines in the newspapers read, Titanic sunk, no lives lost, and all Titanic passengers are safe. So this was the beginning of the news that reached the people in New York and in England. that nobody has died and all the people are safe. Paragraph D. The ship went down within 3 hours of hitting the iceberg. It sank nearly 4 kilometers to the bottom of the ocean. Some passengers managed to escape, but there weren't enough lifeboats to save everyone. A lifeboat is a boat that is usually passengers find on the ship to use in case of an emergency. But the problem with the Titanic passengers that there weren't any enough lifeboats for everyone to save himself. Paragraph E. Titanic was the biggest, fastest, and most luxurious liner. A liner is a ship that travels quickly in the middle of the water. Luxurious is a very expensive ship and a very comfortable ship of its time. In April 1912, the ship set sail on its maiden voyage. A voyage is a trip or a journey, and maiden means the first trip or the first voyage of that ship. Set sail means started its way from Southampton in Great Britain to New York. So look at this paragraph, dear students. Do you think it's the first? Do you think it's the second? So make sure that we are dealing with the first description of Titanic. It was luxurious and it was for the fastest of its time. Letter F. While the passengers in the lifeboats were desperately, hopelessly trying to survive the freezing temperature, the water was very cold around them. The nearest ship, the Carpathia, had answered Titanic's call for help and was heading at full speed to rescue them, to save them. So there was a ship sailing in the same area, maybe. That ship's name was Carpathia. And they had the call from Titanic and they started sailing to rescue the people on board of Titanic. It took the Carpathia, that ship, 4 hours to reach the place where the ship had sunk. As you see here, what is required from us is to read and number the paragraphs in the correct order. If you go down to the paragraphs, okay, what do you think is the first paragraph is? It should be a description of the Titanic. It was the biggest and fastest and most luxurious. So this was the first paragraph. What about the second? What do you think is the second paragraph in this story? Very good. It is paragraph B. It was making good progress across the Atlantic when on the night of Sunday 14th of April, 5 days after setting out, it hit an iceberg and the disaster happened. So this is the second part. What do you think happened after an iceberg and they sent a call for help? They needed help. So which one do you think is the third paragraph? Take your time to find the correct paragraph. Correct. So it is paragraph F. While the passengers in the lifeboats were desperately trying to survive the freezing temperatures, the nearest ship, the Carpathia. So we are talking about the Carpathia. Okay. After that, the Carpathia took 4 hours to reach the place of Titanic. What do you think happened? Sorry, before we go to before the Carpathia reached, the telegram was sent saying that the ship needed help. So paragraph 3 should be number D. The ship went down within 3 hours. This is what happened to the Titanic after hitting the iceberg. So E is number 1, B is number 2, D is number 3 because it's talking about the hitting of an iceberg, and it took about 4 kilometers, or it sank down about 4 kilometers, and it took about 3 hours sinking, okay, or 3 hours of hitting. Number 4, we will talk about the passengers who were trying to survive by using the lifeboats, and the Carpathia, the other ship, who came to help the Titanic. Number 5, on Tuesday, April 16th, the headlines in the newspapers read. And the last one is paragraph A. However, on the following morning, it was clear that more than 1,500 people had died and 700 passengers had survived. So here we have the correct order of the paragraphs. Correct order is E1, B2, D3, which talk about the ship when it sank, or when it hit the iceberg for 3 hours. Then number 4 is F. Number 5 is paragraph C. And the last one is paragraph A. Now let's move to using the past tense. Look at this young man. He's talking about his holiday or his vacation, and he is using the simple past to describe what happened with him in the holiday. Now, take a look. Look at how you form the past simple. The past simple, we have 2 types of verbs. Regular verbs like walk, walked, call, called, listen, listened, love, loved. So they take ed in all cases. But the verb to be is different. The verb to be is the father of the verbs and is and are. Example, I am a doctor. 10 years from now, I was a student. So you take was to talk about what happened in the past, or what you were in the past. Was, as you know, are used with I was, he was, she was, and it was, or the singular. But were, as you see here, they were at home. This is the past from are. So the pronouns that goes with were are we were, they were, and you were. What about the verbs that are irregular? Some verbs are considered irregulars because they don't take ed in the past. They take different words or different forms. What about the verb to see? Every day I see my friend in the morning. Yesterday. What do you think the past from see? Correct. So read this example. The past symbol of to see is saw. I saw acrobats and dancers at the circus. So the verb saw is the past from see. What about the verb to go? Example, every day I go with my family to the mall. What about the past tense from go? Correct. The past tense from go is went. Let's go to this example. The past tense of to go is went. We went to a market stall and tried new foods. So as you see here, the past tense is went. Something happened yesterday. What about the following questions? Choose the correct answer before you move to the, or by referring to the rule of using the past simple tense. Question number 1. Match the sentences in the past simple tense with the pictures. As you see here, I can see a taxi, I can see a circus, which is a place for acrobats and a place for clowns and a place for showing magical movements or magical events. What about this? That is the third picture, is a picture of a doctor who's making a phone call, and the last picture is of the great attraction Taj Mahal, or the Taj Mahal. I advise you, before you match the sentences with the pictures, to read all the sentences. Number 1, Jeremy loved the circus. Number 2, the doctor travels by taxi. Look at the verb. Is it in the past? Number 3, we will visit the circus near the Taj Mahal. Number 4, I was in a taxi. So as you remember, the verb from is, the past from is was. So I think this is one of the pictures match the sentence. Number 5, we saw the Taj Mahal in India. Remember the past from see. Number 6, the doctor called the patient. As you see here, regular verbs, they take ed in the past. So what about this one? The doctor called the patient. Which picture? Up, down, left, or right? Correct. So this picture is left and down. Left and down. Let's try to match the picture with the sentence. The doctor called the patient. What about number 2? We saw the Taj Mahal in India. Correct. It's down and right. What about the other sentences? Jimmy loves circus. We see past tense here. So it must be up and right, because we have a circus picture here. And we still have 3 sentences. I was in a taxi. We will visit the circus. The doctor travels by taxi. So which one is in the past? As you see here, was. So was is a past tense form of is. So it goes with this picture. Let's check if our answers are correct. As you see here, all the sentences are in right places. Okay, go back. What about the next question? Let's see what is the question about. Complete the sentences. Use the correct verb in the past simple tense. Alison and Ella space in a taxi on their way to the airport. Alison and Ella we have where, was, is, and be. Which forms of verbs are in the past? As you see here, we have where and was. So it must be either where or was. So, and Ella, it's or there are two people, so it is plural. The pronoun that stands for Alison and Ella is they, and they takes where. Let's try and check our answers. So the second one is where. What about question number 3? Complete the sentences using the verb in past simple tense. Oliver and went, go, and gone. What do you think is the past tense of verb go? Correct. It is went. Let's check our answer. Yes, it's correct. By this question, we come to the end of our lesson about Titanic trip from England to New York. It was a disaster. I hope you can describe what happened to the people and how 700 people managed to survive. And what do you think the divers could find in the bottom of the sea? And I hope you can tell me what are the two types of the verbs. Examples: regular with ed and irregular with a new word or a new form. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you benefit from this lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.